All right, lots of things to cover this week. We are going to start with one of my previous videos was about how Trump likely has had a TIA, possibly a stroke, and there's some people speculating that maybe he has mild dementia. He was giving a speech in front of foreign leaders the other day at the economic conference, and he referred to Greenland as Iceland, I think 3 times or so.
When I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy. Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money.
And while this could indicate some mild dementia, the fact is, and you can put your input in the comments, but as someone who has worked with people very closely who have dementia for almost 20 years now, people can still be pretty high functioning and have mild dementia. They still drive, they still do a lot of other things. Not saying it's great, but I'm just saying that you can still function pretty well as someone who has mild dementia if he does. I'm not saying that he does or he doesn't, but what people should be more concerned about is that Trump is more than likely a malignant narcissist.
What is malignant narcissism? It has the same base as all narcissism. Little or limited capacity for empathy.
Condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Entitlement.
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks.
Grandiosity.
Nobody knows more about taxes than I do, and income than I do.
Nobody knows more about construction than I do.
Nobody knows more about campaign finance than I do.
I know more about drones than anybody. Nobody knows much more about technology, this type of technology, certainly, than I do.
Validation seeking.
I can't think of anybody in history that should get the Nobel Prize more than me. And
Arrogance.
Have a better education than them? I'm smarter than them.
Superficiality.
President Trump looks at looks, even in opposition candidates.
I hear he's nice looking. I think I'm better looking than him. I do.
All the usual stuff. But in the malignant narcissists, we also observe some other patterns we don't tend to see as much. We can, but not as much in the other narcissistic styles. And these include exploitativeness.
And with the help of a GOP campaign platform known as Win Red, he decided to set up weekly recurring donations by default to any of his supporters who dared donate any money to his campaign. One of the individuals who was scammed is a man named Victor Amelino. He's a 78-year-old Californian who referred to the Trump campaign as bandits. He had made a $990 online donation to Trump in early September via WinRed. It recurred 7 more times without his knowledge, adding up to almost $8,000. He said, "I'm retired. I can't afford to pay all that damn money." Neither could a cancer patient who was also scammed in a similar way. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but he did find out that he was scammed prior to passing away.
Manipulativeness.
Trump's relationship with the media was one of constant manipulation. He understood the power of the press and how it could be used to fuel his rise. By constantly feeding the media with sensational statements, false claims, and inflammatory rhetoric, he kept himself in the spotlight and shaped the conversation to suit his needs. His use of Twitter as a platform to broadcast his thoughts, often bypassing traditional media outlets, was revolutionary in how it allowed him to control his narrative. Like other dictators, Trump leveraged the media to keep his supporters engaged, while simultaneously casting doubt on any critical voices. By branding the press as the enemy of the people, he created a dichotomy in which his supporters saw him as the only truthful source of information. At the same time, any opposing viewpoints were dismissed as fake news.
Coercive control.
More recently, Americans have been watching videos of ICE tackling a young mother, tear gas being used in a Chicago residential neighborhood, and the smashing of car windows. Have some of these raids gone too far?
no, I think they haven't gone far enough.
And a sense of being very controlling.
A moment ago, President Trump saying that he's considering tariffs on any country that does not support the U.S. controlling Greenland. Here's the bite. Watch.
I called Germany. No, 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 we will not do that. I said, no, we're going to put a 25% tariff. And I may do that for Greenland, too. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security.
There is a meanness, a menace.
President Trump's campaign to crack down on the culture at universities has generated tremendous uncertainty.
We're also going to stand up to the radical left communists, Marxists, fascists, and frauds who have taken over our universities. They've taken over our schools.
When Trump got into office, he began canceling billions of dollars in federal research funding.
And a cruelty to malignant narcissists that isn't typically observed in other forms of narcissism. Now, as a rule, malignant narcissists are very deceitful.
I swear to you, the left is trying to shame Christians. They try and shame us. I'm a very proud Christian, actually.
They lie regularly to suit their purposes and to protect their interests and their fragile egos. They typically manifest a willingness to take advantage of other people, and they tend to be ethically and even legally pretty sketchy. They will bend and break rules and laws and intimidate and bully people for their own advantage.
The effects of him being a narcissist on our whole country and how it's affecting our country and the people in our country is much more significant than if he has mild dementia. Trump being a narcissist means that he is addicted to crowds. I've talked about this in other videos that I've posted, and Trump is very much addicted to crowds and praise.
The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people, if not, we had more.
Narcissists get off on narcissistic supply. This is the emotional support and attention that narcissists get from people, especially people who are very empathetic. So Trump being in front of crowds, the praise, the applauding, that is his narcissistic supply, and he is addicted to it. He is also addicted to awards. As you can obviously see, he is obsessed with getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
President Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize
He
for
got a
way
prize
less.
for doing nothing.
Exactly.
Obama got a prize. He didn't even know what he got. He got elected, and they gave it to Obama for doing absolutely nothing but destroying our country.
More than likely because Obama got this Peace Prize, and Trump being such a narcissist, he feels that he has to get as many awards as another person. He has always been obsessed with awards. He recently got the FIFA Soccer World Cup to give him a Peace Award.
President Trump finally has his Peace Prize. No, not the Nobel Peace Prize, which is the world's most prestigious, and one that President Trump has long coveted.
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Now, if the FIFA Peace Prize doesn't ring a bell for you, it's probably because it is a brand new award. It was announced last month by FIFA, which is the global governing body for soccer. You've heard of it because it's been plagued by scandal and corruption allegations in the last decade.
Which was very weird. I made a clip a while back of how Trump was allowed on the stage when one of the teams got a big trophy, and Trump wanted to be in the center of it, even though they were directing him to get off stage. He had to be in the center of it. He has to pretend like all that applause and attention is for him. He feeds off of it. He is addicted to it and he needs it. So what's happening right now is that Trump is losing support by the day. We've seen a decline in polls.
This week, the New York Times and Siena University released a poll showing that a majority of Americans disapprove of how President Trump is handling the economy, immigration, foreign policy, and affordability. 51% say his policies have made life less affordable. Nearly half of voters, that's 49%, believe the country is worse off than a year ago. Now, those numbers don't just disappear because the president doesn't like them. Instead of addressing the substance of the concerns, Trump took to Truth Social to attack the poll itself. The Times Siena poll, which is always tremendously negative to me, especially just before the election of 2024, where I won in a landslide, will be added to my lawsuit against the failing New York Times. That's a quote from the president. Our lawyers have demanded that they keep all records and about how they computed these fake results, not just the fact that it was heavily skewed towards Democrats. They will be fully held responsible for all of their radical left lies and wrongdoing. Another quote from the president on Truth Social. He followed that up with another post that read in part, quote, "Fake and fraudulent polling should be virtually a criminal offense." Polls are not crimes, Mr. President. Journalism is not sabotage. And threatening legal action every time the data is inconvenient does not change the data.
When he first came in office, he had almost half support of American people, and now it is steadily declining as more and more things are happening, as he's invading Venezuela, as he's trying to invade Greenland, as things are not getting cheaper like he said they would, as people's healthcare premiums are skyrocketing. All these things are happening which are not helping American people. But what is Trump talking about? He's talking about encrusting the Oval Office in gold. He's talking about remodeling the Lincoln bathroom. He's talking about putting giant flagpoles in the lawn of the White House, which some would say that that's compensating for something, if you know what I'm saying. And and he got the jet from Qatar. So all these things benefit who? Trump. He's also talking about putting in an arc.
You have three sizes. That would be the largest one. This is just a model of what it would look like in either of the three, any of the three sizes.
President Trump showing off the latest item on his wish list.
He reminds me of a dog who is just pissing all over everything to mark his territory. That's what this feels like to me. He is trying to create a legacy where everywhere people look, they have to see something that he has created. And he's trying to make a name for himself by capturing more land throughout the world. Hence the Venezuela thing, hence the Greenland acquirement. And the scary part is that this is going to weaken us as a country. It's weakening all our alliances, and it's strengthening all the bad guys. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But somebody was saying that it doesn't matter if he's an evil person, if he's a great leader. And that's an argument that a lot of Trump supporters make, is that it doesn't matter what he's done or what kind of a person he is. He's such a good business person and leader. And you cannot be a good leader of a country if you are an evil person. And I'm going to tell you why. Both him and Jeffrey Epstein have led their lives in such a way where if somebody goes against them or tries to expose them, they lead by intimidation and harassment. And we've seen this at every turn with Donald Trump. If somebody goes against him politically, he bashes them on social media, he intimidates them, he threatens them, he tries to get them fired out of their job. Even corporations and universities now he's threatening. And the more that he gets away with, the more that he's emboldened and empowered to keep doing this. So for example, Trump, being the narcissist that he is and not a good person, has now kidnapped the leader of Venezuela. And some people think that, oh, he's trying to do something good for Venezuela. But the fact is he left in power the vice president who was still under the leader that Trump kidnapped. So obviously he's not really trying to make things better in Venezuela. And he did not support Machado, who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize and even offered to give it to him, or maybe she did give it to him. But that's not enough for Trump. He's still leaving in power the regime that was in power before. So nothing has changed except that he has managed to take over the oil in Venezuela and has kidnapped the leader of Venezuela. So when you have an evil person in power, he wants to take over the world. And that's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to acquire different countries. He is exerting power over weaker countries. And he's basically essentially being a world bully. And this is who we put in the White House. it has, like I said, destroyed our alliances with Canada, with Mexico, and with Europe. These were our strong allies that we had for trading partners and for NATO, and Trump has torn it all down. He also recently took us out of the World Health Organization, which is a huge deal. So he is all around, going around and basically retaliating on all these people that made him unhappy in his first term or since then. And he is taking out revenge on the whole world right now. Trump has also put pressure on the federal chair, Jerome Powell, who Trump appointed into that position, mind you, even though Trump seems to have forgotten that he did that.
As president, there are a few decisions more important than nominating leaders of integrity and good judgment to hold trusted positions in public office. And few of those trusted positions are more important than the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Accordingly, it is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. Congratulations, Jay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I think he does a terrible job. He's costing us a lot of money. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him.
But now Jerome Powell is being criminally prosecuted. And I want to play this clip of Jerome Powell here, where he makes a statement about how he is being politically persecuted at this point.
The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
Again, remember that Trump appointed him. The problem Trump has with him is that Jerome Powell wasn't doing what Trump wanted to. Trump wanted him to lower interest rates. Jerome Powell was going by the data and what was best for the American people. And Trump just wanted what he wanted to do. And he was not happy that Jerome Powell did not do this. So he's criminally prosecuting him. That is revenge. The other way that Trump's narcissism is impacting our everyday lives at this moment and the public in general is that Trump has started making medical recommendations because he thinks that he's smarter than doctors. He recently said that Tylenol is unhealthy for women who are pregnant, and he's changed the whole vaccine schedule. Even though vaccines have been proven not to cause autism, he is still insisting this publicly, and it seems to me like he should be sued for the comments that he's making and the choices that people are going to subsequently make based on the false information that he's providing to the public. He also did this during COVID when he said that disinfectant could be injected into people's veins. I'm sure that there are some Trump supporters who took that literally and probably got very injured. So this is Trump being such a narcissist that he thinks he knows more than doctors do. He thinks he knows everything about everything. He's said this a million times. It's not a joke. He literally thinks that he does know more than doctors and thinks that he can make medical recommendations. Because Trump is a narcissist and an evil person, his only goal this term is, well, he has two, to take revenge on his political opponents and to create a name for himself. The other thing to consider about Venezuela is that not only did Trump make it very clear that the reason that he is bombing ships in the ocean from Venezuela, as well as kidnapping the leader of Venezuela, is for oil and to enrich himself and the oil donors that probably supported him. The other reason it seems that Trump has kidnapped the leader of Venezuela is because the leader of Venezuela was mocking him. Let's play a little clip where the leader of Venezuela was mocking Trump's dancing.
Mr. Maduro's regular public dancing and other displays of nonchalance in recent weeks helped persuade some on the Trump team that the Venezuelan president was mocking them and trying to call what he believed to be a bluff, according to two of the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to talk about the confidential discussions. In fact, here's the video footage of the dancing that the New York Times report referenced.
So as you can see here, Trump was offended that this person was making fun of the way that he dances, and I do think that that was a huge factor of why he decided to do this. You may think that it was to benefit Venezuela, obviously to benefit the oil donors that contributed to Trump's campaign, but I guarantee you a huge part of this is because Trump cannot stand to be humiliated. This all goes back to his narcissism. And when I say that his narcissism is more harmful to our country and to the world than any mild dementia could be, this is what I'm talking about. The thing that I fear the most is that as people start turning against Trump, as we have more and more polls coming out saying that less and less people are supporting Trump and his actions since he took office, my biggest fear is that Trump will start a war intentionally. He has already changed the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. He has kidnapped the leader of Venezuela. He's talking about taking over Greenland. And he has also mentioned when he met Zelensky in the White House, they had this conversation.
How to say, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, in the battlefield, in the sky, in the sea, yeah, to make possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now, so you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh.
So my theory is that before the end of his current term, Trump will start a war in order to delay elections. You have to understand, this man feeds off chaos, revenge, power, and money. Those are the things that are most important to him. He loves chaos. He loves violence. He loves violence. The whole right wing glorifies violence. They glorify the military and weapons and guns. This is all part of how right wing people have become. It's a glorification of violence and chaos, and it is dehumanization and downplaying the value of human life, which leads me to the next thing that we're going to talk about today, and that is the shooting of Renee Good. I know that most of you have seen this video many times before and broken down in many different ways. I'm going to break it down one more time from the way that I see it. When I initially saw this video, it was very apparent to me that she was trying to allow the ICE vehicles to go past, and that this ICE agent, the one that shot her, was circling around the vehicle and walking in front of the vehicle while it's on, which does not seem like a very safe thing to do. And then as the ICE agents were trying to open her door, she was quite obviously trying to get away from them. She had the wheel turned all the way to the right. She was trying to leave. The ICE agent was blocking her path, and he just got in the way. And so he shot her. I also think this was pre-planned, because you can see in the video where the ICE agent, before he comes back to her window the second time around, that he switches his cell phone from his right hand to his left hand in order to draw his weapon. So he had an intention of shooting her.
Keep an eye on this guy, the cold-blooded murderer, who's no doubt going to claim that he was afraid that his life was in danger or whatever. For someone who's going to no doubt claim that, he sure doesn't seem to be in any hurry to move out of the way. See, here you can see that instead of moving out of the way, he actually decides to draw his weapon and actually plant himself more firmly. In fact, he's leaning over the hood of the car right now, on purpose. If you go frame by frame, you can see his feet are actually beside the vehicle at this point. And there is the first time he pulls the trigger, when again, both of his feet show that he has fully cleared the front of that vehicle. And then the next two shots happen here and then here. Both of which, where he's very clearly having to aim through the driver's side window and actually appears to be running after the vehicle.
And if nothing else does it for you, I hope you pay attention to the fact that after he shoots Renee Good, you can hear him saying that effing B word. Who says that after they just shot somebody? Do not tell me that these are professionals. The other part of this that is extremely disturbing is the fact that the vice president, among other people, as well as Kristi Noem, immediately went on air and blamed the victim.
You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers.
She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots.
Without any investigation into the situation, obviously there were videos, but there's a lot of things going on in the videos. There's a lot of different cues, like I just broke down for you, of what happened. But usually when people are speaking about something, they will say, allegedly this happened. This was allegedly the victim. Allegedly she was trying to do this. You do not go into making assumptions about something that has just happened where an investigation has not even started. But right off the bat, J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem were calling her a domestic terrorist and blaming her for what happened. There was no blame put on the federal officer who shot her in the face, who was walking in front of the vehicle while it was turned on, and who then called her an effing B word. One of the scariest parts about this is that since they have completely backed this ICE agent and put no blame and no responsibility on him whatsoever, this empowers ICE agents to keep doing this. I also want to play this video that I just saw today.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So,
So basically, it sounds like they are labeling anyone who protests, anyone who exercises their First Amendment right of free speech and to observe what's going on, as a domestic terrorist. This is very dangerous and very concerning. If you care about your freedom of speech and your right as a citizen in our country with rights under the Constitution, this should bother you very much. Look, I'm not a journalist. I'm just an average American who is watching everything unfold with my own eyes and getting more and more concerned by the day, as you should be. It seems to me that there should be standards in place for journalists. There should be requirements that they are reporting the news and not just opinion all the time. I thought this was a very interesting clip here, where this person who has been in journalism for a very long time pretty much says that it used to be news, and a while back it became more opinion-based. And so now it's to the point where the public has a hard time distinguishing between opinion and facts.
I think the betrayal that cuts the deepest for me is the betrayal of the media. I worked in the media for decades, and all the time I was reminded of my sacred duty to uphold the public trust, to maintain the Fourth Estate, to be the watchdog of the community. These sad excuses for journalists rolled over in a matter of weeks. The abandonment of their core principles was shameful. I blame this on two factors. Number one, corporate ownership of media. Corporations don't give a damn about truth, about being watchdogs, about upholding the Fourth Estate. Corporations care about money. When their bottom line was threatened, these so-called watchdogs of the community rolled over and became lapdogs of the Trump regime. The other factor was the public itself, the consumer. People are fond of saying they want unbiased news. They just want the facts. That isn't true. They don't want just the facts. They don't want news. They don't want to be informed. What they want is to have their biases confirmed, and they want to be entertained. This started about the time CNN rolled out the 24-hour news channel. There isn't enough news to populate a 24-hour channel, so they supplemented with opinion. And then Fox News came along and became almost all opinion. These days, the public conflates opinion with news. Years ago, Walter Cronkite of the CBS Evening News used to sit at a desk with a stack of papers and read the news to America. He was considered to be the country's most trusted person. Walter Cronkite could not survive in today's quote-unquote news environment. I get my news from either the Associated Press, Reuters, or maybe a smattering of the New York Times. The others I don't trust. I don't watch cable news, I do not watch any of the networks, and I take everything that I see from the so-called journalists online, which are not really journalists, they're just commentators, cloaking themselves in a veneer of journalism. I take everything they say with a grain of salt, because quite often they're wrong. This will never get any better until people learn how to read and think for themselves.
I do think journalists should be held responsible for their reporting. They should be held accountable if they are spreading misinformation knowingly. And they should be held accountable if they're speaking things that are fact or if they're using something that is not actually factual. And I agree with him that reporting has become more about entertainment than actual news. I'm not sure what organizations are in place to enforce journalism. I'm sure Trump has torn them all down at this point anyways, but it just seems that there should be more people being held accountable for reporting false news. There's a few things I want you to pay attention to the next time that you watch a newscast by Fox News or CNN or anyone else. And that is the fact that when people in the Trump administration are asked a legitimate question or a question that even if they don't like the question, I want you to pay attention to their response. There is immediately this fake indignation and outrage instead of answering the question. And they hide the true answer to the question or the fact that they're not answering the question under this emotional response that distracts you from the fact that they did not answer the question. I'm going to play you an example here from a reporter that asked Caroline Levitt a legitimate question. And yes, maybe it was worded in such a way that he did add some opinion to it, but she could have just answered the question objectively and professionally. But I want you to pay attention to how she responds and the fact that she does not actually answer the question.
To the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases.
Insulting a reporter and harassing them is not answering a question. It's avoiding a question. And that should tell you everything that you need to know. So while Kristi Noem claims that the majority of people detained by ICE are indeed hardcore criminals.
But you just said millions. What's the breakdown of the percentage of those who you have in custody who have actually committed a criminal offense versus just the civil infraction?
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
But it's not 70%.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
70% of everyone
you
you
guys
have
keep
detained
changing your percentage. You pick and choose what numbers you think work, but that is the facts, is that 70% of the people that we have detained have charges against them or have been convicted of charges, and they need to be brought to justice. And we're going to keep doing that no matter how much you guys keep lying and don't tell the public the truth.
Okay. Well, our reporting is that 47%, based on your agency's own numbers, 47% have criminal convictions against them. But let's talk about the other numbers.
Wrong again. Absolutely.
Wrong again. And of course, it's funny when Kristi Noem is saying, my own agency's numbers are not accurate. So let's go through the different levels of fact checking. First fact check was Margaret Brennan saying, You're saying 70% of those in custody have committed crimes. Your own agency publications say it's only 47%. Okay, so that's already a difference. But according to trackreports.org, the ICE data actually says 74% of detainees as of November, so that maybe this changed in the last 6 weeks, 74% of detainees as of November have no criminal convictions. And even among the remaining group that does, many of those convictions are traffic violations. So Kristi Noem says 70% are violent criminals. The real data is inverted. 74% have no criminal conviction. And of the 26% that do, a significant portion, these are really minor offenses like traffic convictions.
We are seeing more and more stories where American citizens are being detained by ICE and their constitutional rights stomped on. Here's an example. This man is an American. He is a veteran. He was on his way to work and he was detained by ICE. I want you to listen to what he went through.
My name is George Paredes. I was born and raised in Ventura, California. On July 10th, I was on my way to work, and when I arrived on the street that day, there was protesters. I encounter a line of ICE agents lined up across the road. I put my car in park. I'm a good distance away. I get out and I stand beside my car and I yell to the officers, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm just trying to get to work. I'm not here to protest. They just immediately got hostile, telling me to pull over to the side, telling me to get back into my car. As I'm getting into my car, the agents surround my car, pulling on the door handles, banging on the windows, telling me to get out. Following that, they throw tear gas behind my car. I'm just there, coughing, eyes watery, can't breathe. They reapproach my car, telling me to do different things, contradicting each other. I'm just trying to plead with them that I'm leaving. I'm trying to leave. My driver's side window just shatters. An agent sticks his arm through and pepper sprays me in the face. They drag me out of the car. They throw me on the ground. An agent kneels on my neck and another agent kneels on my back. And while that's happening, I'm telling them I can't breathe. They zip tied my hands behind my back. They asked me for my ID once. I let them know it's in my car. Had they just looked at my ID, they would have seen that I'm a U.S. citizen, that I'm a veteran. I managed to make a call for my watch, and I call my wife and just let her know that I was detained by ICE. It was going to be okay. I didn't do anything wrong, and that was the last anyone heard from me. They eventually put me in an unmarked car, and they drive me to a Navy base in Port Hueneme. They take my fingerprints, they take my picture, and they swab my cheek. They put real handcuffs on my wrists and my ankles. They drove me to the downtown Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA. They strip search us. They take our picture, our fingerprints. I asked for a lawyer, asked when I would be able to make a phone call. They never gave me an answer. That entire first night, my skin burning, my hands burning, my face burning. It's the worst pain possible. Hardly even slept. I talked to a psychiatric nurse, and based off the questions I had answered, she felt like it was best to put me on suicide watch. This yellow concrete room, I'm in there in those conditions from Friday morning until Sunday afternoon. An officer comes up to the cell and says, I'm off suicide watch and that I will be released. And that was it. He just walks away. No explanation, no apology. I asked. I was locked up in here for no reason. I missed my daughter's birthday for no reason. And it was just the loudest silence you could think of. My military training helped me remain calm in such a chaotic situation. The moment right now doesn't define the flag and everything it stands for. It represents America, represents all of us, and so I have no problem standing by it. It's important that we all stand up and share our voice and let it be known that what's happening right now isn't right.
This should not be happening in our country. If you think that you voted for this and you're okay with it, then you don't belong in our country. Just because you're Republican or a Trump supporter or a centrist or whatever you believe in, we are all equals as Americans. I have just as much rights as the next person, and nobody is going to take those rights away. We need to start standing up for our rights more and recognizing what's going on. That's why I need you to share this video. I need you to share this video with as many people as you can. Do not be afraid of what people think about you anymore. This has gone on long enough, and it's time that we do something about it. Share this video, leave a comment, let me know what you think, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.